Hey, Johnny Twobears, man, we are live. It's noon on Thursday. Um, I know we both got a quick little break here in our schedules today, and I think we got a pretty cool topic to discuss. Something that's been a little bit of a heated debate here the last several days. Yeah, you're more on top of these things than I am, but anyways, man, how you doing?
I'm doing good, man. How's everything going for you? When you going out of
Ah,
town again?
actually it's funny because looking at schedules now, trying to get some hotels and stuff like that lined up for April up in West Virginia. Some uh, cool little mining towns up there. Doing a visit with some members here in the veteran community. But anyways, man, uh, so last night yeah, I was gone for most of the day yesterday, and I know you had sent me a message, text message, about if I'd be available to get on, and I was like, yeah, yeah, so obviously we did today. So yeah, last night when I was binge watching the full swing on Netflix, I had my iPad in front of me. I started looking through, my uh online entertainment type stuff, and sure enough, I saw a post that you had made earlier about a topic. And I know, man, you and I, we've discussed this, um one on one, even sitting around the campfire out there at the happy place after we had our danger close juvenile sighting, right? And whatnot. And you know um last night's topic, you brought up some things about like paranoia or paranormal.
Paradolia.
Yeah. And 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 as I've gotten more into this subject and meeting other researchers and whatnot, huge thanks to like Angie, who does a great job of reaching out to so many folks out there in the Bigfoot community, and I know you've been on a few podcasts as guests, as a guest, and then somehow you always end up throwing my name in the ring, and I end up getting on with a few of these folks, and I don't mind sharing my story because like I told you when I first reached out to you, what I saw was flesh and blood. It was real. It was it was moving through the backside of a firing range. It wasn't floating. It wasn't riding a Segway. Yeah,
Right.
it was moving through brush. I mean, I could tell because you know what, as it passed through brush, you can see obviously foliage in front and behind of this object. So it wasn't translucent or nothing like that. I mean,
Right.
this thing, meat, flesh, hair, bones. Um, and you think about anatomy of something, right? Like your and I anatomy, it's got lungs, it's got a heart to move some blood, it's got a brain to get all to make all these bodily functions happen and whatnot. But I saw last night's post, and man, there was a lot of follow up comments, from folks in the Bigfoot world. But and elaborate a little bit about what you were discussing there.
Well, the main, it comes up all the time, and it's kind of like you're saying it. The All the people involved in the topic, whether it's researchers or just people that are interested in it, seems to be a divide between flesh and blood, and then the whole. And a lot of people call it woo, and then other people get mad when you call it woo or
So
paranormal, and then
so,
people get
so can
upset.
so
Go ahead.
can you tell me, woo? Does it stand for something, or is it just kind of?
I don't know the the connotation
I mean, when I think of woo,
is
man,
pretty obvious.
I think of Ric Flair, like woo, but I mean, That's my kind of woo, you
Ah,
know.
uh,
But I mean, is the other woo you talking about like tinfoil hats or
well, kind of not really tinfoil hat because
okay,
really, I mean, anybody who's involved in this, the whole
yeah,
thing is tinfoil hat until you see one.
yeah,
Um, but more of a mystical, paranormal, like they have abilities that they're not just some type of ape or hominid, that they're possibly their spirits, possibly the Nephilim. That's another, and a lot of these. And one of the patterns that I've noticed, and I've said this several times, a lot of doing this, in fact, most of doing this is just pattern recognition
yeah,
and seeing the same types of things over and over again and trying to put it all together. But usually what happens is what people believe about this creature usually comes back to their beliefs in life. You have somebody with a PhD in primatology, especially people who are non-religious. They're in the great ape category. You find people who are usually, it's like, pretty
because
adamant. Go ahead.
because uh because they are from a scientific community, they
Exactly.
believe in an evolution, right?
Right.
Okay.
And then you've got people that are like Christian that find that there is a place, which I agree with. First, let me start by saying, first of all, I don't know what they are. If I ever see a Sasquatch come out of a portal or have it dematerialize or decloak and then cloak again in front of me, I am going to tell everybody I know about it. I don't have a vested interest in it turning out one way or another. But all these assumptions and people's opinions, a lot of it is based on what they believe in life. Sometimes it's personal experience. Um, Sometimes people just believe things just because it's just easier for them to believe whatever way it is. What I want to try to do, and my post last night was kind of like and it wasn't even really that big of a deal. It wasn't like a big, what
Well,
I was talking about
well,
was
it seemed to really strike a chord with some followers, so a
yeah,
lot of
um,
debate going on back and forth, so
yeah, I mean, because it's a pretty hot topic. And I think what was more of a hot topic was me saying that there should be, at least in our group, there's a standard of evidence that we try to uphold.
yeah.
And when let's say that you believe that these creatures cloak, okay, um, but you really have no evidence of that. What you see is all these supporting researchers or posts or pictures that, here, let me lay it out this way. What you'll see is this: you'll go to a site or a page, you'll see still pictures. You may see 20 to 50. I've seen like 85 on one post. Still pictures of the woods where they're claiming there's something in these pictures that you really have to pretty much just trust them, number one, and you really have to look real hard.
Yeah.
And it's pareidolia. It looks, humans have a built-in ability to find faces because we're constantly finding faces. We're trying to find it from day one. If you're in the jungle somewhere being hunted by a lion, you're looking for a face in the woods.
Yep.
You're looking for another combatant in the woods. You're looking for faces. We find faces.
Dude, look, man, I mean, you don't have to convince me. I mean,
Right.
people are finding Elvis's face on a Cheeto, you know?
Exactly. And
I
then
mean,
probably selling it for like $250,000.
exactly.
But that's what, so you've got all these pictures. Okay. And that's one thing. But then usually what happens is those same people claim that Sasquatch has the ability to cloak or to change their vibrational frequency or some other thing. And that's why you are not allowed, you can't see anything in that picture, is because they're cloaking or they've changed their vibrational pattern. Now, it's convenient because number one, it's just a picture. If you're a researcher and you're posting still pictures, I'm sorry, unless that picture comes from a video, there's no reason to post it. These pictures don't have, when this person took the picture, 9 times out of 10, there was nothing that was going on. Nothing was thrown. There was no smell. There was no sound. There was nothing. They just took a picture of the wood line and then came back later on and found something that looked interesting in the picture.
Yeah.
Well, you do this over and over again and post these types of pictures and then claim on top of that, these creatures can cloak and here's your supporting evidence. To me, it's ridiculous. I can't believe people that they put up with it.
Yeah.
Now, some people probably do believe in this and they're being honest. I think a lot of people are taking advantage of the situation.
Yeah.
If you have the ability to get 10, 20, 30, 40, 50 pictures, and they're all stills, and you claim they cloak, to me, it's a massive red flag. Why are you not, if you're that good at finding them, why are you not getting a better camera? Why are you not using a gimbal? Why are you only taking photos? Why is there never any video? All this stuff kind of all comes together, and it's all coming from the same type of people. There's only been one person since I've been doing this that I've called a hoaxer. And
Okay.
I'm not going to go back over it again.
Yeah. No
But
need.
I called them a hoaxer because I met them in person and I had them lie to me in person. And then they put a picture out and I knew the picture was fake. And that caused some problems between me and people I knew. And it blew my mind. I couldn't believe that they were like actually believing that this was a real picture. So much so that they were willing to just, have a diehard argument over it. So what I want us to do is focus more on, if they do cloak, they have some type of abilities. I want to know about it. Okay. If I see evidence of it, I will admit to it. That's fine. I don't have a problem with it. But from everything that we've seen, that you and I have laid our hands and our eyes on, they don't have to cloak to be able to get away with the things they're getting away with doing.
Yeah.
And honestly, I think some of it comes from frustration. People try and try and try and try to get video of these things, and they can't do it. So all of a sudden, they've got to have some type of ability that we don't know about because I'm just too good. I should be able to find them. I'm too good of a tracker. There's no way these tracks just disappeared. I'm such a good tracker that if there were more tracks, I would find them. These are the types of things that I think are running through people's heads that leads them down the road. Now, if you see a ball of light and then a Sasquatch crawls out of it, look, man, I get it. I understand. I want to know about it. I want to hear your story. And I get why you think the way you do. 100%. But from everything we've seen, physically, there's no reason to even go down that road. I think we have two problems in this community, and it's a lot of it is not it's really not people's faults because of the way this topic is looked at. We have a money problem and we have a time problem. People do not have enough money to get the equipment that they need. You got a lot of people walking around doing this, with iPhone 10s that aren't stabilized. every one of us are doing this on our own dime, most of us, and using our own time. I do this a minimum of 20 hours a week with a family and a full-time job. I sat down and figured out the hours the other day. And that's probably 20 hours without me even going like into the management area. That's just hanging around the house on top of podcasts and everything
Hey,
else. It may be more.
hey, you know, so what is funny about this, like as you're talking about like time and equipment and stuff like that, it is funny that a amateur weather spotter in Montana was the one that spotted the Chinese spy balloon,
Yeah.
right? You got NORAD, the DOD, obviously the Air Force with its billions of dollars of satellite and radar systems. Yeah, well, we want to pretend that they knew these things were there, right? They they turn their back on the subject.
Well,
They didn't
I
want
want to know what
you and I to know.
changed. I want to know what changed. Why all
Because
of a sudden
because
did
so-
they start
because
shooting things down?
well, because it was embarrassment. Joe Bob in Montana looking through his $50 pawn shop telescope says, "Hey, look at that big balloon in the sky
Right.
with antennas." And anyways, so that it's kind of like got some pie in the face. But I mean, yeah, yeah. Then they start shooting $400,000 Sidewinder missiles.
Right.
Um,
And
but
miss.
which yeah, so they did miss the first one, and so it was $800,000 trip on that one.
Yep.
But the thing, so you're going back to the equipment, the iPhone, people using GoPros, iPhone 10s, because hey, that is equipment that is readily available
Right.
to the average Sasquatch, Bigfoot researcher, right?
Exactly.
Um, and yeah, you know what I mean. If it's what they can afford and what they can use, that's great. Granted, you mentioned like the ball light and a, a Bigfoot crawling out of it. Man, I still I wouldn't go to Vegas and put money on that bet. I mean, that's just me.
Well,
You
there's,
know.
there's, and I'll say like people like Ron Moorhead.
Okay.
He is fully, he's very respected in this community. He's got some of the Sierra Sounds, some of the best evidence,
Yeah.
but he has no physical evidence or no video of the things that he saw.
But
But from what he,
unbelievable audio recordings. But the heck, we interviewed Paula from Mississippi,
right,
and her audio recordings were phenomenal.
oh yeah, hers were good,
Yeah.
but to me, without any video evidence, to me it almost doesn't even sound Sasquatch. It sounds like they're like literally dealing with some kind of aliens. you know, I mean the things that he was describing, like watching a floating lightsaber go through the woods, is kind of how he described it, and the way that
Mm,
there would be sounds outside of their little hut, like things were being destroyed, and then they look out there and then nothing's being destroyed.
okay.
uh so I get it with he's real big into physics and
Okay.
using like I think that's even part of the name of his book. I can't remember. I didn't read it. I just know the name of it. But anyway, he thinks that it's perfectly reasonable that they can, I think, turn into energy or whatever.
Yeah.
Um, and if I would have experienced the things that he had, then I understand that. I understand why he would think the things that he does. But with that said, we've experienced pretty much 99% of the opposite. Everything that we've seen and heard and collected, we understand why it's so hard to get these things on video.
Yeah.
Like after you and I saw, first of all, with the initial sighting, when that thing was what, around 50 feet away from me, when I turned and looked,
Yeah.
I didn't hear it at
Yeah.
all. I turned and looked because I probably felt it looking at me.
Mm-hmm.
That's the only thing I can think, because it wasn't like a gradual, like I'm just looking around. Like I just turned straight to it and looked right at it.
Yeah.
So we know that they're super quiet. I've experienced that time and time again around here. They move. It's almost like the only time you're going to hear them move is if they want you to hear them move.
Yeah.
Because they have the ability to move silently. Well, there's tons of animals that do the same thing.
Yep. Yep. Big cats, you name it.
Right.
Yep.
So that there's no reason to think that's anything to do with paranormal. Then you see it, and then we follow in its tracks, and then the video I take, that's where we get the screenshot from.
Yeah.
And we know it's him because we just got done looking at him. So we know it's that guy. We don't know it till 2 days later.
Yeah.
But we know it's him because it's a perfect face shot and we saw it.
Yeah.
Well, he was only, I measured it, or I vaguely measured it. But that whole area has been cleared out again for shooting lanes.
Yeah.
And me and Hank went out there, and I took him to the area, and we walked around, and I kind of explained a little bit what happened. And I got to the spot. That area is a little more flooded now. It's not just a little creek anymore. But I stood in the spot and looked into the area where we got the video of him. And it's only about 40 feet away.
Yeah.
So we just got done seeing him. Both of us did. We know he's in the area. We know which direction he went.
Yep.
It made noises to get us to come that way.
Yeah.
He's 40 feet away, but we still never saw him.
Yeah.
When we come out the other end, where Scott sees him, when he's up on the pipeline, and he says it comes out on, that's what the picture is in the background here.
Yep.
Is we had that picture drawn up by Mr. Wayne Tillett, Scott DeForest. He described it to him. Well, he said that it comes out on all fours, spider crawling, makes a U-turn, goes back in the woods, and we come walking out 10 yards away from where it was at. We had no idea it was there. No clue.
Yeah.
So it's things like that over and over and over again that
So
there's no reason to jump to a paranormal conclusion.
yeah. So for the listeners who are just now listening to you and I, the noises that this thing made that Johnny referred to just a few moments ago was not vocals. It was the banging of brush and trees, right? Yeah. So that's what we had heard. I mean, you can hear, best I could kind of describe, like,
well, I just put up a video the other day
that's right.
of right after I saw it, and you and I are talking.
Yep.
And you can hear the birds going nuts, and you can hear crashing and breaking.
Yep.
In the background, and that's what we were hearing, is that crashing and breaking over and over again.
Yeah, exactly.
But those are just a couple things, and again, I'm not somebody made a comment, who gave you, because I said something like, look, there's got to be, for us, the standard is no pictures unless it's a still from a video that we can show to explain what you're looking at. There's got to be some type of movement or something else that says, hey, there's a Sasquatch in the area. We're not just going to take pictures of the woods, go through and circle something that could pass as a Sasquatch and say, hey, here's a picture of the Sasquatch.
Yeah.
So that, and our standards are just going to keep getting better. The better the evidence, the better we're going to try to get. That's just the type of people we are. And that's just how determined we are to do this.
Yeah.
But what bothers me is people are using extremely substandard evidence to prove really an outlandish claim or an extravagant claim. I don't understand how the sentence can come out of somebody's mouth Here is a picture of a cloaked Sasquatch. How do you say that with not giggling to yourself?
Yeah.
It's hard enough to find a flesh and blood Sasquatch. We know how hard it is.
Yeah.
How are you showing pictures of cloaked Sasquatch and then showing 50 of them and then saying, like, I've seen them go so far down the road that this is a female dog man pointing at her children. And you can't see anything. You see like a shadow that kind of looks like a snout and maybe a pine cone that looks like an ear. And it's like, here's a cloaked dog man pointing at her children. I'm like, how do you honestly put something like that up on the internet and get and say you're being honest with people? Because number one, if it's cloaked, how are you finding it all the time?
Yeah.
And
Good
the
point.
cloaking must not work very good. Like, it must be the worst type of cloaking ever. So I don't understand it. I don't understand how people keep doing it and getting away. And it's not like they're doing it and then like nobody's listening.
Mm-hmm.
They're posting them and there's like 80 people telling them how good of a job they're doing. Like, what a great picture. Oh, I can see them. I can see its eyes. And I'm like, why are you even trying so hard? Like, dude, we could have an entire channel of me walking out on my back porch and taking pictures of the pine trees at night and just post it up. I could post 900 videos a day doing that, you know?
That's right. Yeah, that's true.
I mean, maybe that's why it's being done. Now, again, I do think there are honest people who believe they're seeing things and that these things do that.
Yeah.
But when it comes to supporting evidence that a Sasquatch can cloak, what I would expect to see is video of a Sasquatch that's solid that then cloaks on video. And then you can say Sasquatch cloaks.
Yeah.
That's what it's going to take for me.
Yeah.
And, you know, I had somebody mention, well, who are you to choose, you know, standards of evidence for everybody else? I'm not. I'm nobody to choose it for everyone. But I tell you what I expect. I tell you what our group is dedicated to. When we put something up, first of all, I won't put anything up that's not moving. Like 9 times out of 10, unless it's a screenshot. It's got to be moving. It's got to be a reason to believe. Like with the thermal video on my own property, I was having objects thrown at me on video.
Yeah.
And then like 30 seconds later, you know, I get the face shot of it.
Yeah.
Like there's got to be a real reason why there's only 2 videos that we have that I know are Sasquatch. And that's the thermal, and the other one is the juvenile.
Yep.
The road crossing video that I took about a year and a half ago, I can only say maybe 50%. It's massive. It's at 175 yards behind me with a cell phone video camera. So it's not great, but I did comparison videos.
Yeah.
The thing's massive. It's moving. It's in the middle of the road. But I can't say that. I cannot tell you that was a Sasquatch. But that is as far out on a limb as I'm prepared to go.
Yeah.
There's got to be some reason behind why you're. I knew my wife was going to do that. Sorry. Anyway,
is she pointing at a dog man pointing at her children?
No,
Yeah,
before I started, we got bags of dog food out here, and right before I came on with you, she's like, "Hey, will you get the bags of dog food?" And I said, "Yeah." When I get done with the podcast, she just walked outside and got them. I knew she's going to do that.
Man, good for her. Good for her. Yeah.
But anyway, I think we're getting evidence, and that evidence is all I'm saying is, if you really do think Sasquatch can phase in and out, can cloak and everything else, try to do a better job of getting evidence to prove that. Because as of right now, people aren't doing it. They're not.
Dude, I'm sorry, man. When you say phase in, phase out, all I could think about is like, oh man, if one of them phases in or comes out of a portal and he's got a red shirt on, he's toast. We all know the red shirts. It doesn't end up too well for those guys.
Oh
I mean,
man.
Star Trek. I mean, I'm sorry. That's what I keep on. And then you think about like cloaking. I'm like, okay, like the Predator. You
Right.
know, um, yeah. That's technology. I know. We're not utilizing. You know, and whatnot. But it's just I I don't know. I have a hard time believing in that only because of the experiences I have ha- has tells me flesh and blood,
Well,
right?
yeah. I mean, it's
So
based on personal.
yeah,
And like I said, I understand why some people believe they the way they do because of their experiences that I have not had. I
yeah,
understand that.
yeah,
But everything that I've experienced and that we've seen and the evidence we've gathered, it's all flesh and blood. Now, there's been times that I've been weirded out by, man, I really think I should have been able to be able to see it because it was so close.
yeah,
But that was 5 years ago. And
yeah,
that was before I saw what these things can do firsthand during the day.
yeah, and that's that goes right back to the day we saw the juvenile. You know, when I saw it walking and moving, right? So it was going from right to left, um, in front of me, and it was going through brush again. You know, two legs. It didn't have that huge arm swing. You know, it was just moving very fluid. A lot more
Well,
fluid
wouldn't you
than
think
me
that that would have been the best time to cloak if you can cloak?
when it was dead in front of me.
Is
Yeah,
when
yes,
humans are shooting high caliber rifles
yeah, yeah.
in
You
your
know,
direction,
yeah. I mean,
unless it's deaf,
that's the time to turn it on.
that would be the time to use your cloaking abilities, you
Yeah.
know?
You know, but and then the power line that seeing that thing
Talking
spider
about the one
crawl.
that ran across.
Yes,
Yeah.
so the power line, they were at Happy's place, right?
Yeah.
To see that thing spider crawl, and that's what we're calling it, spider crawl, that defies movement abilities that you and I have, right?
Oh
This
yeah.
I mean, I know when we were at boot camp, dude, we used to get, I mean, mashed, smoked, whatever you guys want to call it, so it's kind of like a stupid human tricks, that's when like a drill instructor or a training instructor pretty much like is physically um abusing you without touching you, right?
Right.
So I mean,
Trying
for
to destroy your body, therefore making your
yes,
mind stronger.
yeah, exactly. You know what? So you either act right, the rest of the troops do right. But anyways, eh, yeah, and we've done spider crawl type things, for military exercise, right? Extracurricular type exercise, but not in the ability that this thing did.
Oh
This
no.
was
For
that,
humans, no,
yeah,
it's impossible.
yeah. And to cover the ground, right? That this thing was able to do. This thing moved across faster than you and I would fast walk across that power line, and but we saw it. All three of us, Scott,
Right.
you and myself, we
And
saw this thing.
it wasn't just like start from one spot and then go to the other
Yeah,
side. There
no,
was water in that area. So
yeah,
it was having to it was
navigate.
moving
Yeah,
fast, but at the same time it was like being extremely selective on where it landed because it was like it started out going straight and then it kind of doop 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 like
yeah,
that
yep,
because of that water and it was it's moving that fast, that agile, and it's selecting where all of its hands and feet are landing. Like
Yep.
it's I to
So why
see
what?
that
Yeah.
in person was
So why wasn't it cloaked? It knew we were. It knew the three of us were sitting beside all of our vehicles. Um, we had our tripods and cameras and all that up and rolling, and or trained in those directions and whatnot. I mean, if it was me, if I had a cloak switch, I would have turned it on to get across. Not
well,
not
in
not
that
risk getting
certain
spotted.
one, I think the reason why they did that is the same reason why the first one did what he did is they're trying to get us
Yeah,
out of the area.
yeah,
But if you can cloak, you don't have to get the humans to get out of the area.
yeah,
You just cloak and
yeah,
then you can leave if you want
yeah.
to.
Yep.
Like we wouldn't even have to know that they were there at all if that
Yeah,
was a possibility.
yeah,
Like these are the things that don't make sense. That all these actions and one of the things that I was thinking about the other day is trying to get people to really change the idea of what these things are. People have they go off like the Freeman film and they go off the Patty film, and you've got this big, lumbering, slow walking, upright creature, right? Now we know, and we won't talk because we won't go into depth about this because I talked to the lady involved,
yeah.
and apparently they actually had some cease and desist stuff that they had to send out. But what I can say is there's more involved to that Patty film, and that's coming out.
Okay,
Um, so her actions, I believe, were intentional. Patty's actions were very intentional.
okay.
Um, but people need to get out of the mindset that that's the norm and that's what you're looking for. Because from what we've seen and experienced, they're more comfortable on all fours, probably, than they are upright.
Yeah,
And their ability to move silently and quickly while they're down on all fours and to blend in with their surroundings and their intellect, their ability to plan. They planned what they did to us that day, Joe.
yeah,
That was them developing and carrying out a strategy
yeah.
to get us to
And,
go in a certain direction.
and that still bothers me today.
Yeah.
That we fell for that. You know,
Oh yeah,
so
one hundred
yeah,
percent. We
yeah,
we did not realize that. I mean, I knew they were smart,
yeah,
but I didn't realize that they were
yeah,
going that far with it. That they
yeah,
could, I mean, they just laid out a plan of attack. That's why, like a lot of times when I go out, except for the other day, that we can talk about that in a minute.
yeah,
That's why I don't really get scared that much anymore because I know if they want to kill me, there's nothing that I'm going to do about it.
yeah,
Most likely,
yeah,
especially by myself. The way they move, it could be up behind me and whisper something in my ear and then leave and run back and then smush my head if they want to.
yeah,
There's
yeah, yep,
they're ridiculous. But I hope people can kind of trying to describe. Number one, you don't need paranormal abilities to accomplish what they do. And number two, that we got to quit thinking about them. And I know most of the sightings are of them upright. Well, that's probably why, because
yeah,
they're upright and they're hardly ever upright. So that's why most of the sightings are like that. There's a reason why they stay down on their belly or on all fours.
yeah,
So that doesn't happen.
yeah,
So,
yeah, yeah. No, definitely. If you're 8, 9 foot tall, it's easier to stay hidden if you're
right.
down low, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. Hey, just like the military. Hey, I'm up, I'm down.
Right. I'm up. They
So,
see me. I'm down.
yep. So, man, I don't know. I thought it was a really um good discussion that you had from your post last night. Obviously there's different schools of thought,
Yeah.
from a lot of folks, but yeah, I still have a hard time thinking of the cloaking and the things such as that.
Well, I just want people to, after doing this for however many years now, what, since about 2017, 2018, and having all the experiences we've had and everything else, what I've really started to find is that the reason why these creatures have stayed so hidden is because people don't have the time and the money to spend what's needed to find these things. That's
Yeah,
why there's no information or very little, because it's so difficult.
yeah,
Like we are trying to track and find one of the most, from what I can tell, one of the most deceptive creatures there is on the planet, one of the most skilled, intelligent, but you're not going to get answers by going out.
oh boy, Johnny kind of froze up, folks.
You
Oh,
back?
yeah, yeah, and you froze up for just a second.
Yeah, both my screen and your screen started doing little loops.
Oh,
But everybody has a right to believe what they want to believe and to do what they want to do. I am not. I'm not in charge of anything or what people, whatever. But I just wish people expected better from researchers. That they expected their level of evidence to just continue to rise. Instead of doing 3, 4, 5, 6 years of the same just still pictures over and over again. Like, if you're not striving to get better evidence, then I don't understand why you're doing it.
yeah,
I don't know. And now uh some people just do this for fun.
yeah,
Some people probably don't take it seriously, but they like the attention. But there's a lot of people that pay attention to that stuff, and it's hard to sift through all of it. So I think the best thing we can do, you're not going to stop all that. It's not our job to stop all of it.
yeah. Well, starting to have a little bit more hiccups here with the internet, Johnny. You froze up again, man. So, anyways, if folks, if you can hear me, like what Johnny was saying, that you know, um, continue your research, but strive to do better. Strive to, uh, oh, all right,
Back.
yep. Now you're back.
I don't know
Uh,
why it's doing it. I've got full Wi-Fi strength and
Yeah,
like 2 bars, but anyway, we'll try to wrap it up. But
yeah,
I don't want people to. I'm like everybody else. I like to get along with people. There's people out there that say, I don't care what people think. I do care, but
yeah,
I don't do this to so people will like me. I do this to try to get evidence and to
yeah,
try to get the truth out there.
yep,
I don't. I would rather. I don't do this so I'm right either. None of us are doing this so we can just be right.
yep,
Our goal is not to be right all the time. Our
yeah,
goal, I would rather be wrong and get good information out there
yeah,
than have everybody just agree with me, but then I'm wrong.
yeah,
It serves no purpose whatsoever.
yeah,
So, we're people are going to have to be more willing to talk about these things and be more open about them and to be more like,
wow,
hey, man, I know you're doing your best or whatever, but instead of 50 pictures of the dog men pointing at the moon, how about you try video instead? You know, try a video, see if you can get some movement or something like that. I don't know.
yeah. Yeah.
But
No, good point. Real good point, man. So, yeah, man. So, anyways, man, it's good lunchtime chat with you, Johnny.
yeah, man,
Hopefully,
I know you got things you got to do.
yeah, I got to get back to my online cryptozoology doctorate, program.
Well, good
Um,
luck with that.
but you
Are
know,
you going to give me a job as your assistant whenever you're
well,
get
once
your
I get
doctorate?
when I get my degree from the Ukraine Institute of Technology, fully accredited in Eastern Europe only, but no, I'm sorry, man. you know, I
Oh
I
man, I wish you would have found out a way to make the acronym UTI. That would have been better.
I know, man. But hey, I mean,
Joe's
hey,
walking around with a UTI all the time.
yeah, that's right. Hey, it is yeah, still, yeah, it's a yeah, the whole Bigfoot, and the research uh um community. There are a lot of good people out there doing great field work.
Oh yeah,
And I tell people all the time about you. I mean, I said, dude, you almost have no choice. These things are in your backyard.
yeah,
They come up to your house like all the time,
yeah.
right? And you almost cannot avoid it now that you've been growled at, right? It wasn't an angry neighbor, and it wasn't a homeless person living in a tarp
No,
tent
it was not.
out in the wilderness, you know. And as I tell people all the time, like the one guy's house that you probably don't want to mess with or go steal chicken eggs from or whatever is the dude with three full size German shepherds,
Yeah.
right? Um, Former combat marine, um, and that's just the wrong house to go pick on, But these things, I mean, it's like a cat and mouse with they're at your own back door,
Oh yeah.
and um, with the experience that you have, and you've been building up your your toolkit of tools, cameras and thermals and
Yeah.
audio recorders and all that, and I will go out and I will tell people, you've got more than the average Joe out there, the average person, um, and the time that you've invested in this, and you know what, uh, the
But I
evidence that
also
you've got,
feel I
yeah,
understand though. I understand how much of a I feel not only am I just extremely interested, I feel obligated because I understand what a like once in a lifetime type of position I'm in. You know,
yeah,
to have the there's a lot of really good researchers out there, a lot of probably better than me
yeah,
that don't have the opportunity that I've had because it is on my own property.
yeah,
So I'm extremely grateful for it, and I spend a lot of time doing this, and my wife gets upset with me sometimes, but it's because I do it out of obligation because I
yeah.
do know, and we know they're real. We know we can get them
Yeah.
on video.
Hey,
We
I'm just glad that what you've got a hot spot. It's identified. Actually, we have two. If you're
too.
talking about the
Yep.
happy place, but you're not packing up and going to Alaska and starting all over.
Yeah. Yeah.
or
Yeah.
or you know
Yeah.
next episode, next season, Johnny's going to be reporting from Destin Beach, Florida. I
Right.
mean, down at the vacation home. God, you know
No,
yeah, I mean, yeah,
it's
you're
kind of hard to get answers doing that. You
yeah,
keep
but
moving from spot to spot to spot.
yeah, but I'm glad you're sticking to, like, man, what but then again, man, there's a lot of, man, you don't know what you're dealing with, it,
And
it seems like they
the other
surprise
night
you.
was a little,
An eye opener.
I made the wrong decision on that one. And if people haven't seen it, it's a couple days ago or a few days ago. I was out behind the house right before the sun or right after the sun went down. Um, and I just set up on this log and I was just going to sit there and I wasn't quiet or anything. I was just going to sit out there and look out over that hill where I had the daytime activity of the tree being, the limb being pulled down or whatever, and then finding the dead squirrels. Well, I caught something on thermal. And now when I initially saw it, I thought it was a bird. It was moving so smooth and so fast and flat. Like I stuck the thermal up to my eye, looked, and I caught it. And I was going, what in the hell? What is that? What is that? And then about, I don't know, 3 seconds in, I hit play. So you get like the last, I don't know what it is, maybe 15 seconds of me watching this thing, which is nowhere near as, you just kind of have to take my word for it on that. But because I screwed up. Anyway, it looked like the thing kind of stopped and turned around and looked. And on the way, it looks like a freaking monkey looking at you. Now, I can't say that for sure. I don't know. I don't know if that was one of them or not. I say that all the time. We've got things on thermal and other videos that if it's not 100%, I'll tell you it's not 100%. Okay, I can't tell you that. But I was like, all right, well, if that was them, I know. And I turned around and looked at my house. And from back behind my house, from that hill, it looks like a freaking airport. Like there's lights everywhere on my house. And if you step out on either side of the house from that position I was in, you can see everything. You can see everything coming. It doesn't matter if it's at the back of the house or either side of the house. You're not sneaking out there. So I figured, all right, well, what I'll do is I'll walk out the front of my property and then double back and then go down the side of my property and see if I can't sneak in, to try to at least get some thermal back from that hill. Maybe I'll get lucky. Yeah. Well, I did that. I walked out. I got in this, just a little bitty wood line, like right on the side of my house between me and my neighbor's house. It's only about 30 yards wide, maybe. Not even that. Probably, I don't know, 25 yards. Anyway, so I get out there in that wood line and I'm sneaking and I think I'm being Ricky Recon and I hear some commotion back behind me up to where they're building another house in front of my house about 100 yards away. And it sounded like something just dumped. I don't know. It was a loud noise. I never did figure out what it was. But nobody was there. Nobody's living in that house and nobody's working in that house at night. And you'll see on the video, I'm like, I tried to stay quiet. But then I'm like, I just got this feeling like, man, that's probably them behind me. I don't know if I made the right decision. Well, right after that, I've got looks like a possum or something on thermal. And I'm looking at it, and then from right behind me, there's a wood knock, maybe 50, 60 feet away. And I didn't realize it till afterwards, but on the audio, you can actually hear the footsteps running up. It goes, whack. And I put that in the audio thing and amplified it and everything else. But it got so close and behind me that I kept walking away from my house just to find an open area because it freaked me out. And I did not want, I know how these things hide, so I did not want woods right around me, because they just got too close. They didn't do anything. Nothing was aggressive. I just felt uncomfortable because they blocked off the way I was going to go out and the way I went in, So that was a bad call. There probably won't be much more sneaking around like that. Yeah, I think it's pointless.
Yeah, well, thanks for the recap, though. I mean, it's still, when you talked about that and posted up your video, it just kind of proves the point that, man, these things are intelligent, and they've got eyes on you, your house, man.
We've seen that recently here a lot. That
seems
like they've moved. It almost seems a little. I don't think I've had activity this long ever before.
Yeah,
and it almost seems like they've become more of a permanent. Who knows? In a month or maybe tomorrow they might pack up and leave, and I might not hear anything for 3 months.
Yeah.
But as of right now, it's they're close, and it seems like us a lot more often. So,
Okay.
but anyway, let you go, man. I know you're
All right, buddy.
got things to do.
All right, man. Well, thank you, and thank you for our listeners. Um, and as well as followers. For our Facebook and YouTube page. Thanks for following the Sasquatch Encounter Brigade. So, just real quick, I know Angie. It, I believe her and Scott and Barb are grouping up down in South Georgia. They're going to do another swamp investigation down there, and hopefully, yeah, this weekend. So they'll be heading down there today, tomorrow. Hopefully, they'll come up with some good evidence and give us a good field report. And Johnny, man, yeah, you and the family, stay safe and whatnot.
Yeah.
If you,
Hey,
if
real
you can
quick.
just train these things to maybe help, carry the dog food in for your wife,
Oh, hell yeah.
for your wives, that way, man. I mean, come on, man, you got her doing all the work around there,
I knew that was going to happen. I'm like,
and you're,
I got to do it. I said, give me an hour. I'll be, and it's not like the dogs don't have food. You know what I'm saying? Like their bowls are full right now. So I'm
yeah,
like,
but
just give me an hour. I
you
knew
can't,
that was going to happen.
you can't win, man.
I knew it was going to
You're,
happen.
you're out there doing your podcast, and I'm carrying in 50-pound bags of dog
I
food.
know, man. I think she does it on purpose. But
Exactly.
real quick though, when we did Molina Festival, I met a guy named Lloyd. We all did.
Okay.
I posted a
All right.
video from him a while back, right after the festival. It's the thermal video
All right.
where you hear the screaming.
All right.
Next week, I'm going out to his property, and there's
Ah.
two different properties.
Okay. Cool.
So we're going to do a walkthrough. He's going to show me some things, show me where he
Okay.
heard everything. It sounds like he's got a pretty good idea that they're out there. He said he's found some structures and stuff. So we're going to see.
Oh man, that's awesome. Okay, man. Well, shoot, can't wait to see your footage and all that.
Oh,
So,
yeah.
all right,
Yeah.
all right, buddy. You have a
All
good rest
right.
of the day, and
Everybody
thank
have
you,
a good
everyone.
one.
Bye bye.